It is time for us to have that. Is it mid-morning? Not yet. Wait, it's still morning. I feel like I've been here for the last 16 hours. Yes, indeed, it is the conversation. Anyway, we want to take a bit of a trajectory here towards talking about cohesion. And we're asking ourselves today: are we back to the times of tribalism? Have we ever left to begin with? And why we need to rethink that position as a country? To have this conversation with us today, we do have the commissioner, or one of the commissioners with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Dr. Danvas Makori. Daktari, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning, Ngala. How are you doing?
I'm quite fine.
Thank you for having me.
Charged up with this cup of coffee.
Yes.
Yes. I hope you also have something.
I have mine.
Oh, okay.
I'm always self-contained.
Oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're like CT.
Yes.
Unaona hiyo jacket amevaa?
Yeah.
Vitu ziko hapo ndani.
Ni vingi sana.
Ukitaka kitu tamu ataingiza tu mkono tu. Ukitaka kitu kali anaingiza side nyingine. Ukitaka kitu kingine anaingiza tu mkono hivi na inatoka. It's a good thing. But welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We were just having a conversation with you before we went on air, and you said that the term of the current commission is almost done.
Actually, it is. We are exiting the next 1 month.
What?
Because by law, we have 6 years. And it's non-renewable. So you do your 6 years, you move on.
Wait.
Which is an improvement. It used to be 3 years renewed once. So you can't really do your job because your biggest culprits, which are politicians, as we will see, are the ones who are supposed to renew your term.
Yeah.
So unakajangia kidogo hapa na pale. But at least you have 6 years. Unafanya tu kazi, unafuruga who you need to. You have to do it without any fear. So it's a good thing, yeah.
So you've said that wait, so it's a 6 year non-renewable.
Yeah, ukimaliza usonga mbele.
It's a wrap.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day anyway, kazi ni kazi, hata kama ni miaka 6,
absolutely,
miezi 6 ama dakika 6.
Absolutely.
Yes. Getting back to, you've said something about politicians, and I believe the commission was set up because of primarily those particular individuals. I mean, everyone else is in check for sure, but primarily because a lot of what we are seeing in as far as hate speech is concerned and tribalism and divisive politics, it's basically that class we call politicians. You know,
I was invited yesterday. I looked at the topic, and I was thinking, City, we are 2025. 2025.
Yes.
21st century.
Yeah.
We're still talking about tribalism. I mean, on a serious note, I mean, I think we should be serious as a country at one point. I mean, it is very, very sad.
Yeah.
To begin with, that either we are like goldfish, we have a short-term memory, or selective amnesia, that we easily forget where the country has come from and where we purpose never to go back. And then we have individuals who occasionally, intentionally actually, always wanted to take us back for expediency purposes, for political purposes. I do not think by any chance it is, people say it was reckless. It was not reckless. That was very intentional. There's a narrative that is, we have to be careful also for us not to fall into that trap, perpetuating it and pushing it beyond what it was meant to be. But it's good to call out and to hold them accountable, because for the most part, yes, it is politicians, but it's got to be careful also. We always blame the politicians. But we need to look ourselves in the mirror too. If you listen to that clip that necessitated these specific discussions today, if you look at that discussion, that clip, when the governor was talking, what was the audience reaction?
They were just there.
Not just there, they're actually laughing and finding it funny, and some even clapping. Yeah. So, and as much as we can say, I'm not blaming a whole community, I'm just saying, I've one time, years back, about actually last election, there was this politician coming from Garissa. He was a member of parliament then, and the people from Garissa and Isula have been having issues back and forth, as in many places of our country, which we were mediating at that time.
Okay.
So this politician stands up, and it's a big crowd, probably like 100,000 people, massive, and the crowd wanted him to speak ill of the people from Isiolo. He's Somali, but the people of Isiolo, of course, are mixed Somalis, there's Boranas, there's Merus, all kind of people there. So he's saying, so the crowd were egging him, because everybody in that crowd was bashing these guys from Isiolo. They're egging him. And first of all, he refused, then called the people out. He said, you guys, This is ridiculous. Well, why would you not do this? Yes, the Kenyans, they are brothers and sisters. And as a politician, you want to be popular, but he actually
choose an unpopular route.
Now, why I'm saying that is because if you look at that clip, the people actually did not say anything. They were part of it. They were actually enjoying it. They found it actually quite funny when you were saying what he was saying. And we've seen politicians being booed, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
we've seen the president being booed.
Booed himself, yes. So how comes that he wasn't being booed? He was nobody challenged it. You understand? So as much as yes, they are the culprits, they're for the most part. But I think intrinsically speaking, we as Kenyans need to look at ourselves in the mirror and call ourselves what we are wrong, and are we intrinsically tribalistic? Are we ethnic in our thinking, in how I look at you, in how I engage you? Innately, who am I?
You know, Danvas, there is what we are culturally, and then there's what we manifest from our cultural position into the political sphere. The differences or the diversity that our cultures bring about is just that, the diversity.
Absolutely.
But the positions where your ethnicity now has a political ringtone to it, that is manufactured.
Very true.
And a lot of it is historical. Okay? Now, what certain people have done over time is just build on it and give it more life or give it more limbs. Now, the unfortunate thing, I said this in a previous hour, about what is being ascribed to Governor Mutai is not what he said. It is what he said, where he said it. My view is that as Kenyans, when we congregate with people who speak our language and belong to our ethnicity, we say derogatory things about others. Forget other communities. Even among ourselves, we say derogatory things about other clans. It starts there.
Very true.
So we have that inclination. Then you move it to a larger level, it's about our neighbors, wherever it is we come from. Then when you now become political, it's against another community elsewhere. And we do not say pleasant things. The thing is, though, we say it among ourselves, in the public domain, we present a pleasant face. And it's what I call hypocrisy. This man didn't adhere to those norms because he wasn't saying something that has not been said before. These people were not hearing something they have not heard before. That is the reason why they were reacting the way they were reacting. He wasn't saying anything unusual. What he was saying, people had heard. In fact, as much as they were laughing, they've heard it before. But when you say it in a public domain, even if it's in a language that the people who are there understand, there are many people who don't belong to those communities who also understand the language.
Very true.
And there are those within those communities who understand and will not like what you're saying because they know the ramifications. Now, the response that you hear, let's start with that region. When you have such a person saying such a thing, unfortunately in the public domain, you ostracize an entire community. That's the problem. Even people who don't share in your sentiments, don't believe what you believe, but they're all put in the same basket.
And specifically because he spoke in their language.
Yes, and specifically because he uttered sentiments that everybody knows some people harbor, but these are things we do not talk about out loud. See, that's the hypocrisy that we have. Now, it's unfortunate, but because a leader from his neck of the woods, Nyeri as well, who was the immediate former, has been saying things that one wishes he wouldn't say. This man has gone and cemented it. And the timing couldn't be worse.
So in such cases, Daktari, what is the role of the commission?
First and foremost, in this specific issue, actually we have some of them, because the rule of law, the process of law is you investigate before you arrest.
Yes.
Okay. There's always been there's a push really to arrest him. Okay, well, fine, good, we arrest him. But you see, in our law, if you arrest somebody, you need to produce him in court within 24 hours, working days. So what are you charging him with? Yeah, and remember, separation of powers demand that it's not us who prosecute, we investigate and arrest. It's the DPP that prosecute. So we have to produce the file to them. They have to look at it. They have to make sure it is to their standards before they. So you basically, there's time before you arrest somebody. So what you do usually, you summon to write a statement to clarify statements as we investigate. The actual clip was done in his mother tongue, so there has to be translation. There's transcripts to come. There's a professional. It is a process. The actual clip, we don't know who recorded it, so it has to be authenticated to make sure it's not AI. Because his lawyer can say that was AI. So how do you? The burden of proof is on the accuser. So we have to make sure even before they say it. So as he does his statements, we are actually investigating. Actually, the investigation started yesterday, early morning yesterday, to authenticate. There's a forensic analysis has to be done on the clip, on the audio, so on and so forth. If he doesn't show up, of course, he'll be arrested because that's the powers we have. Then we take the file to the DPP. If they choose to elect charges against him, they do. If not, they don't. And usually that's the case. They usually don't. Now, but here's what that's the role of our commission, as far as the law is concerned. But also, partly also, we have many roles. That's why I'm here to remind Kenyans that we're better than that. We should not allow that. And we should also hold those leaders accountable, because we can act within law and arrest, investigate, arrest, take to court. Okay. But the damage is still done, has been done. Do you know what politicians fear the most? It's the people. It's the votes. And the people of Nyeri, if they are genuine, and what he said is inconsistent with what they believe as city is saying, they should hold him accountable. Yeah, they should call that man, because that's what they fear the most. Because if they do that, there's deterrence among all other leaders who say, I guess if we do this, because that to me is unacceptable. You should never say that. It's just wrong. It is wrong. It is intentional. It was wrong. As he said, these thoughts have been there. The sentiments have been always somehow lingering. And a leader in his caliber says that it has to be a level of accountability. So we can hold him accountable. But what they fear the most actually is the people themselves. Yeah, and the people have representatives, the MCAs. For a fact, what I can challenge them? If they genuinely disagree with what he said, that man should be held accountable, politically speaking. Yeah, they should recall him. Then they'll say, that's what he said. We don't believe it. That now, if they go that way, the country actually will say, I think we've moved forward. Do you know, if you realize what happened is the apology that he gave wasn't even sufficient. The governor should apologize first of all to Kenya, to whole country. No, forget about what to the family and to the no. The apology should be to the country first, because the country is in mourning. Yeah, it is a national mourning. Whether you disagree with Raila or not, whether you elect him or not, whether you are for him or not, of course, it's a democracy. The people who didn't like him, the people who liked him. But the fact is, we're not a national leader, or disagree or not, we're in a state of mourning. So respect that. At least, so the fact that, do you remember, City, I don't know how old you are, in 1993, the Chipolopolo, Zambia national team perished off the coast of, I think, Gabon.
It was an airline flight.
Yeah. The entire team, and it shocked the country. They had national mourning, and they're Africa. I was a young boy, and we loved that team. I think they want to go far.
Actually, it was a beautiful team.
Lawrence Wire.
There were two Bwalya brothers.
The Bwalya brothers.
Yes,
remember?
Oh, they played some sublime football. Yes,
unbelievable. Now, what happened was, and why I would draw a parallel was because when the nation went to mourning, 7 days mourning, just like we had 7 days mourning.
Yeah.
The whole country was in mourning. Africa actually was in mourning because we all loved that team. Actually, we loved the young boy. We followed them. We loved them. Can you imagine in that state of mourning where the country is just shocked at your mourning, and then you say something very careless about that team? I mean, how will that go? It is in bad taste. You understand? So if the governor believes that, if this is in social media, it's called Caston. If Caston believes that, he should have waited maybe 6 months later and just say that. So he's just insensitive, the wrong time. So I would say that even he owes the country an apology. Forget about even to the family. Of course, the family has lost. The country number, because the whole entire nation is in mourning. It just gives a break for whether you disagree with. There are people who I know totally disagree with him, but guess what? Respected the mourning period, not to do anything. We study social media. We not study. We monitor social media, and you know what is unique about social media? Gen Zs are unique.
They're an interesting lot.
And they're very interesting.
Yeah.
But guess what? They what they felt about him prior in this period, they were quite quiet.
Yeah.
There was And these guys don't spare anybody. When the Honorable Olachi lost his son, you know what they said? You remember?
I remember it was really nasty.
So they don't care. They will come at you. But guess what? And this time, even them, the only people they held accountable is the former president of the United States, Barack. They said, dude, this is your cousin. Why you not saying anything?
Say something.
Say something. You understand? But even them who do not care actually held back their fire in respect. There was something about this man, whether you like it or not. At least, you understand? So even if they held a fire, and I mean, we monitor social media, there wasn't nothing much going on that was very negative.
Yeah.
So to speak, generally speaking, of course, there's 1-2 people who will say crazy things, but for the most part. So I think he owes the country an apology before he even goes to the family and so on and so forth. But I've explained to you what our role is. Yes.
Yeah. And when I get back to you, I'll ask about what the commission, and especially yours that has been there for the last 6 years, some of the things that you've been able to achieve in office. But allow me to introduce our second guest, that is Bishop Hudson Ndeda. He is the National Chairman, Church and Clergy Association of Kenya. Welcome, Bishop, to Radio Generation.
Thank you.
You just found us having a conversation here with Daktari. We're talking about what happened, in the last couple of days in regards to what Governor Kahiga said about the late Honorable Prime Minister. Perhaps you can chime in and let us know when you saw that clip, if you did see it, what were your thoughts?
What Kahiga said was very unfortunate coming from a leader of his stature and caliber. It was very wrong. And for me, I found it that he was very intentional, because he spoke everything in Swahili, but then when he wanted to speak that, he switched to his language. So on his mind, he knew that it will not go out public. It will be close to the people he was speaking to. That is not the direction the country should take. And the man he was speaking about, we are talking about Honorable Raila Odinga, what he has achieved for this country. I don't think if Kahiga will stay even another 100 years, will be able to achieve that. So he should be able to respect our legacy. And let me stop there for a moment.
He also went ahead and apologized. He issued a statement. He resigned from his position as vice chair of the Council of Governors. Is that enough?
It is not enough. In fact, I also released a memo to media houses, and I asked him to resign. And I said he's supposed to resign from both positions, because the position of the vice chair in the Council of Governors and governor position, they are both respective positions in this nation. So why would he resign from one position and keep the other? That is not enough. He should do a public apology, and if he's remorseful enough, let him also resign from being the governor of Nyeri, because he needs to understand when he spoke those things. Look at the kind of talk it has created in the entire nation. Even in his own backyard, there have been demonstrations against him from the people who elected him, because then they feel they didn't elect him to become such a kind of a leader. So that is the message they were sending to him. So if he has a conscience in him, he is supposed to resign even from the position of governorship, because that is what his people were telling him by demonstrating in his backyard.
There's this whole conversation about leadership and integrity, and just being a respecter of persons. And a lot of people, if you look at social media, what is being said is that he did not respect, number one, the position that he holds, because he should speak in a certain way. And then he did not respect the people that actually, the person rather that Honorable Raila Odinga was. And in respect to that, had this been in another country, say the United States or the UK or Germany, people are saying that perhaps he could have resigned immediately. He wouldn't even have waited for this uproar that is currently ongoing. He would have just said, you know what, guys, I have failed you, I'm out. Yeah. Do you think we will ever get to see such a situation in this country where a leader, when he realizes the gravity of his mistake, he will say kwaherini, I'm sorry, wacha niende nyumbani, nimeacha hii kazi mtu mwingine?
And not with the crop of politicians we have. The kind of leaders we have, they hold so much to their positions. Their positions are so much important to them than the nation. So I don't see that happening very soon. But then you've asked a good question. The man he talked about, when he felt that he cannot work with the party he was serving, he showed us the way. He resigned from his position and moved to another party and contested again. And that shows what he stood for, democracy. That is what democracy entails. The leaders we have, for example, Kahiga has failed completely on Chapter 6. He doesn't even need to be told that. He needs to understand that he has failed on Chapter 6 of the Constitution, and that is enough for him not even to be a headman in his village. He's not supposed to. So I think this situation that has come up, maybe it will create a conversation amongst Kenyans.
Yes.
Where do we want to take the country? And what has happened to him, even if he's still holding the position, I think it has spoken to many leaders, and they are going to be very careful with their utterances and the way they do their politics.
Yeah.
Kenyans will begin to demand for Chapter 6. You see, for example, the other day you saw the very MPs, they have come up with cyber crime laws. They want to net in an ordinary Kenyan, a small boy, a small girl down there just speaking themselves on social media. But when you touch on Chapter 6, they will dilute it completely, because then that touches on them. And you see the kind of fines and jail times they have placed on it, then clearly they are targeting a common mwananchi, because only them can be able to pay such fines.
Commissioner, this one is to you now in regards to what I had said earlier on. Has the commission in the last in the 6 years that you have been in office, has anyone been arrested, prosecuted? Is anyone in jail because of the work the commission has done?
Actually, we've sort of, let me start by what you asked first. Part A of your question is we've had close to 86 cases. Actually, no. So 86 actually are bloggers. Politicians, we've had almost 100 and something people.
Yeah.
From MCAs to what have you, basically on hate speech. Total since the commission was formed actually is 400 people, 400 cases. The
in the 6 years that you have been in office?
In the 6 years is about 100 and something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, our role is to investigate. We investigate, arrest, take the file to the BP, they prosecute. And whether somebody goes to jail or not, that is, unfortunately, that's up to now the prosecuting authorities and the magistrates and so on and so forth. A number of cases have been dismissed. There are so many cases right now in court, quite a number of them. Yeah. And it speaks to how the law is set up, the NCIC Act of 2008. Now, who drew or wrote that law are the politicians. NCIC was formed in 07, 08, after the 07, 08 violence, in 08 actually. And the very politicians who, and I've talked to a number of them, who were part of that melee we saw, understood if they created a very powerful institution and hold them accountable, they'll be in trouble. So they intentionally wrote laws that are actually weak, ineffective, and vague, to make sure, well, to tick a box, yeah, we've created a commission, because they are supposed to do it. But the part of the settlement of the Agenda 4, remember the Agenda 4 National Accord, was to set up a commission like this. So to tick a box, okay, we did it, what we're supposed to do. But in the law, that was how it was created, was weak, vague, very intentional. So that, and they set the threshold for hate speech defined extremely high. So when you go to court right now, and if you look at the definition of hate speech, boss, and before you convict somebody on that, and then before you prove it, it is quite an uphill task. That was very intentional. Now we've sought an amendment to that. The amendment right now is in Parliament. It has been sat there for the past 3-4 years, hasn't really gone anywhere. Why? Again, because the biggest culprits are who?
politician.
Of course. So now they will not want us to really hold them more accountable. So it's a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I belabor that. But the fact is, to answer your question, there has been that. But you know what is more effective in our work? This is the enforcement and the deterrence, which is good. But what has proven effective? Let me just quote, and this is very important because there's a negative. And Martin Luther taught us something, and Gandhi taught us something that is very effective when it comes to fighting such negativity and hate. Yeah, and following Martin Luther's footsteps. And let me quote yesterday's quote. The SG of ODM yesterday said something that was very important.
Okay,
I'm going to quote him.
Go ahead.
He said, "This is his tweet."
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, on X. We know there are those who hated Baba, but it's still shocking to hear it. Mutahi Kahiga is easily the vilest of the bunch, but Baba taught us always to respond with love. If you are still around, the next thing you see him is having lunch with Kahiga. I mean, think about that. So the question is, see, I don't want us to focus on what he said. The question is, how do we respond as a nation?
By the way, people are focused on that lunch bit. And that's what people are talking about instead of what preceded
Yes.
what he said.
He said what he said.
Yes. You see, the governor of Nyeri has given us an opportunity to hide our hypocritical nature. I'm stuck on this point for a very simple reason. This man said in public what most politicians will say quietly to people who speak their language and people who subscribe to their way of doing things. And that is where I blame the church. Because all these people, yes, Bishop, this is where I blame the church. Because all these people subscribe to some religious faith. They are prelates.
Yep.
They are people of the cloth who do not mince their words where these things are concerned. Unfortunately, us in the media, we never give such people too much
airtime.
No, we don't give them sufficient airtime.
Yes.
But there are very many who do not speak out when they should.
Yeah.
They do not say what they should because their job, but the mandate of the prelate is clear. If there's a group of people who are supposed to fight for the infirm, for the disadvantaged, for the widows, for the orphans, it is them. If there are people who the mandate requires for them to speak about the ills and to hold leaders to account and speak truth to power directly, it is them. One hears voices, it is not loud enough, because if all these people, whether they belong to mosques or to churches, heard this thing every day, they would know that they are being held to account.
Perhaps the bishop can respond. Bishop, over to you.
I don't think it's right to that. You know, even salvation, we don't force it on people. We preach, and those who are willing to get born again, they get born again. And the church has been speaking. I myself issued a statement yesterday, and I said what Kahiga has said is not right. I raised my voice even on the cybercrime bill. Isn't that speaking?
It is.
We do speak, but you know, it is one thing to speak, and is another thing for the one you're speaking to hear. Some doesn't have ears, and some have been raised in a way. Their software is set in a way that maybe it will take another 50 years to change them. But the church has been speaking. We have always spoken. Especially me, I've been speaking. I've been in media houses all over. Whenever there is something that we are supposed to speak about, we do speak. Perhaps what he is saying, maybe we have not done enough. We need to do more. You saw like the bishop who preached in the Raila's Mass. He spoke straight. That is speaking. But will that finish corruption? The people who will hear, just leave it there. But you see, what is more important is to make sure that you don't keep quiet. You speak about the ills. And I'm repeating, what this man said was very wrong. And for me, it was not just a mistake. He spoke what has been in his heart for a long time. Only that he got, and see where he's speaking from. He's speaking from a funeral, celebrating a death. So was he also celebrating the death of the person where he had gone for the funeral? The choice of the venue was even very wrong. Yeah, politicians, when they go to funerals, they should go to comfort those who are mourning and all that. So speaking, we have been speaking and we'll keep on speaking. We have never kept quiet. We've always spoken.
Bishop, how about, I think there's something City raised, if you don't mind, about deplatforming. Because that's very fundamental. Politicians love crowds.
Yes.
And congregations, whether it's in such settings, whether it's in a church, whether it's a conference, it's a free. They didn't mobilize. They haven't paid any money to bring these people, but they're given these platforms to spread their divisive politics or their hate also. So I think the question I would ask is, generally speaking, because we've seen a number of mainstream churches saying they will never give politicians the microphone any longer. A few months ago, I think a couple of weeks back, we saw politicians fighting in a funeral, two members of parliament, against each other, and I was on TV, and I said, well, the question is who it's a funeral, it's a private thing. Who gave them the platform?
Microphone? Yeah.
The microphone. And a funeral is very private. Yeah, so somebody gave them the platform. I mean, if it's a funeral, they should attend like any other person, sit down, when nyumbani. You understand? Mourn. The Bible says mourn with those who are mourning, right? So the question is, they're given the church. Now there's a move towards, you see, the Anglicans, the Catholics say, you know, we're no longer integrate these people. So within the larger evangelical churches, why can't there just be an agreement to deplatform, just in general, just politicians, even in funerals? Because why can't they just attend like a regular mwananchi, mourn with those who are mourning? You know, you don't have to mourn by giving a microphone. Enda tuseme pole sana, if your contribution shika poleni sana, go. I mean, because to me, we reward them as people. We honor them by rewarding them. You know, these platforms. He's a governor, he's an MP. Kwa hivyo lazima ongee. No, si lazima ongee. Hata kwa asiongee kwanza, because then they will learn discipline, they will learn their lesson, they will not be, because most of these vile things actually are said in such settings. That funeral was being run by a vicar or a priest or a pastor, right? We've seen pastors or priests deny politicians in the funeral. So I think the question is, since you're a leader and in your sphere, why don't there can be agreement that should be, politicians generally should not be given such platforms? Muziwapatie hivyo tu.
We have tried as much to do that, and I'm on record. Maybe after this studio, I will go and look for those clips where I said that clearly. And we said politicians should come to attend church services just like any other person. But of course, everywhere you'll have a few elements of people who will loosen some rules that we put in place. But we have spoken to Clergy. We have told them, let there be sanity. Let the house of worship be a house of worship.
Exactly.
When they come in, let them worship like any other person and all that. Personally, I've been to funerals where we have mentioned leaders just by name and tell them, well, we have so and so around, just stand and wave to the crowd. We have so and so here, just stand and wave to the crowd. And then after that, they can go and talk to people. We are trying, and there is a percentage of the Clergy who are doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe because of the things that are happening, they are now creating more room for that and more reason to do that. But I really want to commend some pastors are doing that at this point. But I think that is how we will be able to kill some of these things that we are seeing.
Okay.
But don't forget that these people also have their own meetings. They have their own meetings where they speak what they want to speak. But in church, we will stop them.
You know, in public, they usually have very hard stance. And Commissioner, this one is to you. They usually have very hard stance. But at the end of the day, when they go back to Parliament or State House, you'll see them congregating. They'll shake hands. They'll have coffee, tea, drinks, whatever it is. In weddings, they'll attend. Someone will marry the other one's daughter and so on and so forth. But in public, they take some really hard stance. So what is the Commission doing in terms of just ensuring that there's a part that you might not be able to control, but there is a part, and I believe that part is civic education, political education.
Let me just highlight before I answer your question. The hypocrisy. I think it's what you said about hypocrisy.
Yes. I'm stuck on that one.
Here is yesterday, because you raised a point, and I want to pivot to that.
Sure.
Yesterday, I saw a number of leaders condemning Governor Kahiga.
Yes.
Those who are condemning have said equally vile things, just like him. So I'm looking at them, the hypocrisy and the level of hypocrisy and the daring that they can. You've said vile things. You've done even bad things. You even, I think, just you're a type of bigot yourself, but you're very quick to condemn, to throw the stone. Jesus said, "Let him who has not seen be the first
To throw a stone.
to throw a stone." They were throwing a stone to the
Actually,
stone.
The one I like the best is removing the log from your eye.
From eye, yes.
Before you remove the
Before
speck
it, yeah.
from- the
So
speck
they're
from
busy
somebody's
removing the log from Kaiga's eye. They have the speck from his. They have big logs. That's the tragedy we have. And at the end of the day, there's something called, there's a phrase, an American phrase called a dog and pony show. It's a show they put sometimes to an extent, and they'll say certain things to appeal to their congregants or their constituents. You see, we talked earlier about the things people say even within their ethnic
Yes.
mother tongue. I've been to a number of meetings, funerals, name it,
Yeah.
where a clan will be bashed, anything group will be bashed, because it is expedient to do it there and then. You're appealing to a certain constituency because or a bias that those people specific have. You are exploiting that for political expediency. Yeah, you're riling that, you're inciting that for political expediency. You may not believe it, but you're seeing it, and the people actually believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you'll go now to your point behind the scene, because I've been to these political rallies. Wanafurugana huko jioni. They're drinking uji, as today it's called, together.
Yes.
Yeah. And wanacheka say, mazee, leo nilifuga leo. They will have to take it easy.
Yeah.
But what they've planted in the seeds of people is animosity.
Yeah.
Is they have riled people, they have incited people. That hatred is still ongoing. They have riled it up, as you say, as you said earlier. It is manufactured. We are diverse. We have different ethnic groups, and we appreciate our diversity to an extent. But the hatred has been manufactured and then perpetuated over time for political expediency, for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So for us, what we did in 2022, to answer your question, one of the things that we did is now do what they do behind the scenes, engage them behind the scenes. I cannot tell you the countless meetings we did behind the scenes, confronting young leaders, those who were in the forefront, saying similar things, saying, you know what, you how dare you say that? Then they'll tell you, you know, Commissioner, when zingine tukifika huko crowd manze, this momentary madness, as they call it. Some they generally didn't really mean it. It just got carried away. Those who actually we know have bigotry in their hearts, and you confront them and you talk to them. Now, on the other hand, is engaging the masses, because they are speaking to people, and we did extensive and actually that time the city was actually part of it. Extensive mass and civic engagement within the masses, grassroots. We went to the grassroots. We went to the air. We had a massive campaign called Amani Kwa Ground, and he was actually part of it. And it actually proved actually very effective, because the people would reject such narratives, and the politicians were more careful because they know people will not receive what they are saying. Uza sera zako, as we say, sell what you're saying, what you do for the people.
Okay.
Yeah, not mobilize people based on ethnic identity and exploit it to the disadvantage of people, but to your own advantage.
Bishop, we have this situation coming through from 2007, where we had some very nasty situation. People killed each other, maimed each other because of tribalism, post-election violence. Do you feel like right now people are better informed and they wouldn't want to get back to that space? Basically, what I'm asking is, do you believe that we are that tribal to get back to that particular situation?
I don't think so. Yeah, we took some lessons from 2007, 2008, and a good sign that we took some lessons. I'll go back to what I said, what happened in Nyeri when Mutai spoke. His own people told him, no, you have crossed the line. Yeah, that is not the way to go. Whether they meant it or not, at least it is a message that is going to the ears of Kenyans that is not the direction we should go. And Also, we need to look at the kind of generation we are raising. This our generation, going back, as it fades, tribalism will die in this country. You remember when the Gen Z were rising up, they said they have no tribe, they have no leader, and all that. That is the kind of a country we want to see, whereby when I look at you, I see a Kenyan. If you are a politician, I listen to your ideas, what do you stand for, what are you going to offer, without asking you where do you come from and what your tribe is. So we took some lessons. Do you know, up to today, there are people who have never been settled. So tell me how such a person will think of tribal alineations. He cannot. And they have relatives who saw what happened. So those are the people who needs to help Kenya to speak to Kenyans and tell them tribal thing is not a good thing. I always wonder why we are where we are. You know, we are only 42 tribes. Tanzania has 120. And you don't hear anything tribal. In fact, they speak the same language, all of them. So we urge Kenyans to begin seeing fellow Kenyans as Kenyans and as brothers. We are brothers and sisters because we are Kenyans. And as you said, 207, 208 is a good place to always reflect back to. You know, that was brought by tribal heads and all that. And so even the people who rose up yesterday against this man, I think that is what was on their mind. This man wants to take us back to where we came from. And I think even from that time, we have seen things happen in this nation, but they have not been on the tribal line. They have been on issues that we are talking about economy, we are talking about laws, we are talking about our nation. This tribal thing in this nation has to die and die completely. Like me, I cannot talk of tribe. In my church, I have all the tribes, and I love them, all of them. And they come to my church because they love me as a person and as a servant of God. They don't ask for the tribe. They know I'm not of their tribe, but they pick from me what I'm offering. That is where we should go. And these are some of the things that the same man he was speaking about, he was fighting for. If it were not for Raila Odinga, even sitting here talking what we are talking was not possible. So he would have respected that. And the best respect we can give to the Honorable Raila Odinga, it is not even the honor he was given. We should honor him by our actions. We should change completely and do things differently, because that is what he stood for. He fought against tribalism. He wanted democracy, so that we differ on principles. We don't fight. I see you as a Kenyan. That is the kind of country we want to see.
Daktari, there's the issue of funding for NCIC, which has been, even in the last, in this, I think the current budget as it was being pronounced, does this NCIC have enough money to run its operations?
Absolutely no. Categorically no.
Okay.
We are I can call in budgeting terms critically underfunded. As an institution. Not even ideal budget, the preferred budget will be at about 800 million a year. That's for whole a commission that has money to the whole country.
I think we say about 500 million.
Right now we get 500 million.
Okay.
That is just enough for salaries. To go to Kapedo right now and do piecework, to fly there and to stay there for a whole week is about 2-3 million. If you go to Isiolo right now, or if you go to Kerio Valley right now, it's millions of shillings. So how are you supposed to do your work? And they know it, but then these guys know it. They know it. They'll actually go promise you, it's on record. If you go last time, where our budget in the Security and Administration Committee, they promised to double our budget, because that's what it's supposed to be. They give an additional 600 million to do actual work. This is actual work. I mean, it's broken down. It's so specific. This is what it's supposed to. The work plan is there. Everything is there. It's not even extra money, because it's actual work it's supposed to do. So when the country is supposed to be united and cohesive, then you're supposed to be. There's a problem. Here's a take. You see, they say prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
Sindio? 2027 is coming. And I've been on record in numerous places saying, if you look at all the markers, what we call the because we do a lot of profilings, we got the models. We have something called EWAR, early warning, early response systems. So we feed it to, it's all AI digital. If there's certain things that happen, you can predict what might happen, and come up with a forecast too. Yeah, meteorological with a forecast. So we do it in peace building and conflict resolution. You've raised 2007, Sendio. If you are to model what happened, if you put things happened a year before or 7 into a system, and if you to put what is happening right now in the same system, what is happening now is even worse than what was happening prior to 2007.
It is.
Yeah. And what the models that are coming out right now it's just going to be a very bumpy, turbulent ride coming. Now, if an institution is mandated to make sure the country is united, is cohesive during such a period, is critically underfunded, aren't we setting ourselves up for failure as a country? And then you still blame them, like, oh, you guys didn't do your job. Well, because you handicap them, you hamstrung them. There's absolutely nothing you can do, because there's not much you can do. You understand? So either I've always said that you fund it correctly, or you don't.
Disband it.
Yeah. So there's no two ways. We have to be serious as a country. Do what you're supposed to do, or just leave it alone. Because then there will be nothing. Then you'll say, okay, yes, we deserve to go to the chaos the way we're going. So my call to Kenyans and their leaders is: listen, we have a bumpy ride coming, and if you're not careful, let me put it this way. If everything held constant, turbulence is ahead. As a poet will say, we are heading to turbulence. Yeah. If everything is constant, now we might decide as a country to de-escalate. We might as a country decide, you know what? I think we need to all calm down. Then that will be very good for all of us. But going the way we're going, turbulence is ahead. So it behooves those who fund, which is the parliament, actually to fund an institution that is supposed to prevent 07 and 8 to happen.
Danvas, just so that our listeners understand,
yes,
what are some of these markers that are clear indicators of what it is that you can anticipate all across the country?
Okay.
Because there are regions in the country that we refer to as hotspots.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why we refer to them as hotspots. You can begin by explaining to us how a region acquires that notoriety and some of the markers that we see, because some people see them and they think it's entertainment. And yet the underlying effect of what they're hearing is actually catastrophic, but they don't seem to understand just how harmful that is.
Okay. So we look at first of all, we start with the obvious.
Yes.
So what is obvious is what is in the public domain, what people say publicly, like, for example, what we are discussing today. But you see, that has catch a national headline. Do you know what happens? Because we monitor sometimes in the micro level, what is, as you said, what really is transpiring, what is people are saying qua ground,
What's percolating?
Kochini. So you listen to it. You actually listen to people's true sentiment. You just listen. First of all, when you go to the ground, you're like, okay, we actually have a problem, because actually, unfortunately,
Yes.
leaders actually do say and reflect what is actually
On the ground.
on the ground, and it's not a good thing. Yeah. Secondly, you look at mobilization. There are places in our country you see what we call the emergence of criminal gangs in the guise of Yeshila so and so. Yeah, so City is running for office.
Jeshila City.
Jeshila City. Yeah, and when they start forming very early, that is a clear warning that we have a serious problem, because usually mobilize people way before. When it starts forming very early, and there are a number of them. Right now, there's a report that we will release. It's called the emergence of criminal gangs, and if you see, they're all politically based. Now they morph into now true criminal gangs, because now if City mobilizes people, alafu City assault watu wake atakuja to rob the bishop here, because City is not paying his people, because it's 2 years he cannot sustain. So what is City jeshi nafanya nini? Enda kwa nyumba ya bishop, inakuja nyumba yako mlango, they rob me, because he cannot sustain his jeshi. Yeah, so you see that formation of these two small gangs in the name of political formation. There's also the unfortunate is just happening. There's whenever an incumbent is there, there's always that threat is increased exponentially whenever there's an incumbency. It just the history of our country. Yeah. So it's not a transition, it's an incumbency. That's the challenge you have. There are also places in our country, and I'm going to be very careful when I say this, where you see, I'm going to be very careful, where people are actually being threatened. Yeah, and I'm going to be very careful. People are actually being threatened. Communities who live in not in their local settings.
Okay.
Yeah, who are in diaspora, have
Within
been,
their own country.
Within their own country, threats vary too much. They told, well, usikupe hapa si kwenu. Ukikumbushwa hapa si kwenu. Yes, that's a serious problem.
And we are seeing it already begin to emerge.
Yeah.
And what's the genesis? Is it something that is organic, or are there people who propagate it quietly? And so we see it emerging because somebody has been propagating it, and now we are seeing it. By the time we're seeing it, someone has been propagating
It's not organic.
it. Yes.
It's not organic.
It's never organic, really.
No, this is not organic.
Just like
It's
the
planned.
violence of 2007.
Yeah.
It was not organic.
It was not organic. No. People by nature are not extremely violent.
No.
Seeds are planted. Plants are planted. People are actually funded. Weapons are bought, are procured. Somebody buys machetes. There is. So that is the reality. Yeah. So. And other things which, for security reasons, I'm not able to share.
Yeah.
But we're able to look at it. We pick up a lot of intelligence. And when you look at this these markers,
Yes.
you're like, okay, these are flags, and we got a serious problem as a country.
Do you share this information with DCI, for example?
We are multi-agency, so we share with the sister agencies. And our Jui.
That's the point.
Actually, some agencies that we work with actually know more than we do, because if I call an agency, like, okay, good enough.
They actually have a bigger outreach than you do.
Yeah.
And they are in those places that you're speaking of, and they also have units that gather information, so they know.
They know. And they're equally concerned, but here's the kicker. There's not much that they can do.
What do you mean? No, they can't do much.
No. Because your work is to collect information and give authorities, so to act upon. So collect. You can be leo, Bishop. You are a consumer of. This is a situation. You need to act. You need to do something. If Bishop doesn't do anything, what am I supposed to do? My work is to advise. Yeah, is to collect and advise. Wambia, kuna hivi na hivi na hivi. So if I tell you there's a problem here and the Bishop doesn't do anything, what am I supposed to do? You understand? There's not much you can do. You do your part and you keep quiet.
Bishop, there's a word.
I needed to ask Commissioner.
Yes.
He has made a very serious confession here that they are underfunded.
Yeah.
And in your own words, that the money is only enough for salaries. So do you feel comfortable sitting in an office to do a salary, doing nothing?
No, actually. Absolutely no. No, actually, I do not. And guess what, Bishop?
And what do we do?
But guess what, Bishop? For us, what we did, we didn't just decide and say we are underfunded. We've actually gone out, look for money from donors and partners, leverage the resources that we can to actually go on the ground and do work. And we have an exit report that is coming. If you see what you've done, given the money that we have, I'm going to use this phrase that is used in sports. We've punched above our weight. You understand? Because we could have sat down and said, no, hakuna pesa tukae tufanye nothing.
But the example is the outreach that we did.
Yes.
It was assisted.
Yeah.
It wasn't just government resources.
Actually,
I know you're currently
funded.
partnering
with externally funded.
Yes.
I know you're currently partnering with the United Nations Development Program,
UNDP, yes.
with Korea International, Koika.
Yes.
Koika, basically.
Yes.
Do you have an early warning system for what Daktari Makori here said earlier on about predicting the kind of problems that we might have going forward, whether it's violence, whether it's voter apathy, whether it's ethnic bigotry, or whatever it is that we like to call it? Do you have those kinds of systems in place?
Yeah, let me begin by saying I think the Clergy get a lot of information than even police and DCI, because all these people come to our churches and we know them. They might not be all coming to my church, but they're going to different churches, and most pastors understand these people and all that. There are many things that the Clergy is doing that might not be outside there. There are criminals that we change life. There are people who have surrendered guns, people who have changed. It is not spoken loudly outside there. And if you need to understand the importance of the church, we need to go back to the days of COVID when there was no church, just for a short period of time. That is where we had of early pregnancies and all those things happening. That shows you the importance of the church. When these people are closer to the church and the clergy, there is some nourishment, there is some hope that they are given. But then, as you say, yes, we speak to our congregations. You know, not all congregations are on camera and TV and all that, but there are so many things we speak in church. We tell our congregants. Like even what has happened, I know it will cause a discussion in churches next Sunday. Pastors will be able to talk to their congregants and tell, don't go that direction. The tribal thing is not good for the nation. We are brothers and sisters. That is why Christians are called, we call one another brothers and sisters and all that. But I think what Mutahi said was not expected. Nobody expected somebody can say such a thing, and especially at this particular time. It was not expected, but then it is going to create a conversation.
Yes.
Not only in church, but even in Chama groups. Right now you see 5-10 people congregating in an estate. They are talking about it. Perhaps what he did was very wrong, but it has helped Kenyans to understand this thing is still with us. Because this is someone like who has been burning and dying with something inside him, and it just blew. And I know he's regretting where he is. Why did I even go this direction? Why did I have to say this and all that? But as I said from the beginning, this was coming from his heart. It was not an accident. It is something, whether it is something coming out of a discussion, out of a group, whether he was speaking for himself or other people, but we need to agree that this was coming from his heart. This is exactly who he is and what he's thinking, and we don't want such people in the society. We are going to condemn him and others of the same. In fact, soon I'm going to have a press conference and talk about this.
Okay.
And say, we will talk to Kenyans. In fact, we will mark such leaders and tell Kenyans not to elect them. Because we want people who will come and talk to us about development, how our children will go to school, how the economy will improve. We don't eat tribe.
Yeah.
We don't.
When you say that you're going to talk to Kenyans to focus on leaders, are you saying that you will tell them specifically, don't vote CT, don't vote movie, or you will say, don't vote for someone who will be like this, like this, like this, like this?
No, we send out signals. Just as he said, people who are behaving in this manner are not fit for leadership. Kenyans know them. Kenyans know them. If you say people who are speaking in this manner, people who are behaving in this manner, they will be able to identify them. There are those whom we have not even identified them. This is just one that came out of the bag.
Okay.
But many are left there. And they are speaking from the villages, they are speaking from their wards and all that. So this one has just come out and say, listen, there is something we have been hiding behind, and it has been burning at our hearts, and I've decided to let it go. This is what we think. So these people must be stopped at all cost and condemned. And in fact, I'm urging the people in Nyeri, what you did yesterday was not enough. Can you come out strongly and let Mutahi know that what he did was wrong?
Okay.
And it should never be repeated.
All right.
Yeah.
Daktari, there's something that Bishop here said that, he's planning to hold a press conference and they'll send out signals going forward. In terms of what the commission perhaps should also do, infomercials. Have you thought in that direction, where we can actually start having 30-second adverts on a station like this one or any other on YouTube?
Specifically on this one.
Of course, tunataka
Of course, sit up here, yes.
tunataka mkuje hapa.
We've done it before.
Yeah.
We actually did it. We there's something called, I'll call it a blitz. We did a serious media blitz in 2022. One of the reasons 2022 was successful as a country in terms of election and unity was because there's a blitzkrieg we unleashed. We did all that stuff. It was highly integrated, highly effective. And a number, I don't know, you guys were around at that time. But we use pretty much most of the major TV stations and radio stations. Radio stations are very effective because a lot of Kenyans listen to radio more than even TV by far. In their homes, in their cars, wakikuwa kwa shamba, jamaa na kilima ameweka radio yake. On their phones, these days of course mostly it's digital. So we realized actually the whole idea was birthed in a radio station. I was on a radio station with this gentleman here when we birthed this idea of just going full blast because we realized radio is very effective.
Yes, it is.
This Gen Z's, we also are doing a lot of digital campaigns. Because that's where their reality is. They live online.
Using influencers.
Using influencers, we did use them, a number of them. So it was actually, we've done it, the template is there.
Okay.
The challenge is funding because if I'm going to put an information here, it's not for free.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're a commercial radio station and it is behooves us because it's a responsibility. You reach a number of people and you have influence on a number of people because you reach. Therefore, we must. It's just how it is. Yeah. So last time actually we had funded, donor funded, and we put that money into excellent use. It reached the entire country, not south. So something that is effective. When you engage the masses, it was receptive. It was actually both air and ground campaign. We look at ground machinery. We did a whole what do you call this? Trailer. Roadshow. We did a whole roadshow from Kisumu.
It was a serious.
City alikuwa kwa roadshow.
Yeah.
No, just
Wewe unanionaje?
Wewe unanionaje?
Huyu mzee huyu mzee mlimweka kwa lori.
Si studio peke yake anajua. On the trailer, from Kisumu to Isiolo, we did it. It was very effective. So it was radio, TV, and there was a number of stations. So it's something we know it was effective.
Yeah.
So my appeal to leaders who are listening to Kenyans is when the resources are availed, we actually can do it and we should do it. Actually, it's in the plan right now. It's all systems go. We right now with something called intergenerational dialogue.
Yeah, I'm actually hosting that.
Yeah, I know you're hosting that one. I know you're hosting it. I know you're hosting it. And the reason we're doing it is because that couple actually that plan has been in the work since 2024.
Right.
After the protests of 2024, Gen Zs, we realize there's a problem as a country, and this is good. We have this discussion today. Why? Because there's a generation. I want to blame it, but there's a generation of the pre-generation, the boomers, the X's, who, I don't blame them, but it's just how it happened. They're very tribalistic, let's put it that way. And there's us, the millennials. I'm millennial. We were not tribalistic until 2007. We don't know tribe.
Which means you are tribal.
We weren't, yes.
Because
now we've become
2007.
Yes.
You see, something can manifest if it doesn't exist. Yes.
It's planted. Let me put this. 2007 was a watershed moment for the millennials, especially because we grew up. Your name was just a name. Movie was just to distinguish you from Muga. It wasn't to say, okay, movie in Mugamba. You understand? All of a sudden, I remember. It was just, okay, you're different between... You need Regina to distinguish you. Yeah? But 07 happened. It awakened that psyche of tribalism in a generation. Now, this generation, as Bishop has said, in 2024, they were very clear. We are tribeless. I love that. That was, I think, a clarion call and a positive thing. They said we are tribeless, and they went somebody tried to divide them along tribal lines. When was it? Even Juicy too. This year, when somebody said this protest is led by an ethnic group, we are all what?
We're all Gikuyu.
Yes. They refused to say msitupeleke huko. Kama unafikiri the protest ya this is what. Then they call themselves Gikuyu names and so forth, which is a good thing. Now we're going to bring generations together to have these conversations. You've done the podcast. You know why it is important? It's because there's certain things which they missed in 2024. They were youthful, they are good, they are zealous, but they missed some wisdom.
Yeah.
Because if they go in a certain direction, this country today will not be the same again. I was part of back channeling, to be honest, I'm going to confess here, between them and the leadership. Because remember the cabinet was dissolved, the president had no option. So we reached out, the president said, okay, who do I talk to? Because he didn't know what to do, where to go.
Yeah.
The center had completely collapsed. The center was non-existent. So he said, what do we do? Okay, we said, okay, fine. I know some of them. I'm a young person. I know some of these leaders. What, let me call them. Boss. Movie.
Yes.
Nimeka chini with warlords, with criminals in this country. I've negotiated for peace, mediated peace, brought peace. I've never had a difficult problem as dealing with
politicians.
No.
This is Gen Z, chief.
Oh, Gen Z. Okay.
Especially their leaders.
What was it that was difficult about the way they went about their business?
City, you know, you've been called to the table.
Yes.
You told, come.
The table is that you, or did they not know that the table is where you discuss these things that they wanted?
They didn't know that. They were like, we're leaderless. Partyless. And they kept on changing the goals. At one point, there was no finance bill. Yeah? And then, no finance bill, it was rejected. And then, Kabila resigned. They resigned. Then now, Ruto must go. Like, you can't keep on. 48 laws of power. 47 says, when you've reached your goal, fika hapo. Unaona?
Now to
They achieved their goal. But I kept on changing and changing. I said, okay, guys, now we're at a watershed moment. The country is here. Whatever you want can be done. Kujeni.
What do you want?
Mutaka nini?
Uh-huh.
I met one who had
Nothing.
a huge following on social media, and we met on an interview on KTN. And I was trying to talk to him and telling him, why can't we come together and talk and all that? And he asked me, who will you talk to? We have told you we are leaderless. So there is nobody who speaks on our behalf.
Okay.
We speak for Kenya.
And I get where they're coming from, and I get it. I really get it. In terms of mobilization, they said I get it.
But what do you actually get? Explain to me this thing that you get, because I personally don't get it.
No, I got it. You see, in nodes of power in IT, if you want to isolate, if you want to attack a system, how part of all cybersecurity, you distribute your nodes of power so that ikigongwa, your system still remains.
So there's a redundant.
So it's the redundancy. So they wanted to say, listen, the initial engagement in a country was a problem protest, like even like we're talking about Raila, was you call somebody who's mobilizing, who's doing all that, and engage him to come or to bring sobriety. So they're saying, listen, no, that currency doesn't work anymore. Yeah. So for us, it's not one person.
Why didn't the currency work?
Because they're saying, listen, we that person who's negotiating will negotiate for his own benefit.
Essentially, they were saying that those who negotiate are compromised, and they will not negotiate in the interest of
the nation.
So how did they then propose that they should negotiate?
So I got it. So I said, listen, I'm not looking for one person. I'm looking for even two people. I am looking for a general. We are a democracy. General representative. Okay, you don't have a leader. Okay, but the people who, as you say, there's an influence. The people who were in the forefront, whether you like it or not, who are coordinating, who would say, "Let us protest," and they'll send X's and Facebook. Not what I want to get on street. You understand? So it's okay, guys. Okay, I get what you're trying to say, but let me give you now. That's why we have this generational dialogue. Let me give you how this world works. This is how the reality of this world works. It doesn't work the way you're saying. At the end of the day, people have to come to the table, and there has to be somebody has to represent you. That is how just the world works.
Did they tell you how they would want this thing to work?
No, they didn't.
Now let me tell you.
They didn't,
because
they did not.
Let me
so they didn't really know.
No,
they knew what they didn't want.
But they
didn't know how to actually get it.
So let me tell you what
that's the problem.
What they wanted, and it's very simple. It's just that. And you see, you and I and City and Bishop here know how life works.
How is it that you and I are in the same boat here?
There's a very huge generational gap, but at the very least we understand. But Bishop, there's some things that the Gen Zs in their maandamano are asking for. Yes. Very straightforward things. For instance, an end to corruption.
Yes,
and
we agree.
From the few that I spoke to, or the very many rather I spoke to, they would say, for example, Dr. Makori is corrupt, Bishop Ndeda is corrupt, City Muga is corrupt. So get rid of him, or rather them.
Yes.
There are other bishops that can be in the position that Bishop Ndeda is. There are other doctors who can be in your position, and there are very many other journalists who can be.
Then their entire cabinet was sacked. Walitolewa, si ndio?
Na watu wakafurahi.
Okay, continue.
Then, some of the individuals that the Gen Zs had said do not return.
Yes.
For example, they said, don't return Dr. Makori.
Hakusema don't return. No, they just said go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Na walikuwa na expect mtu mwingine aye kwa position.
Mimi sasa, this is where I came in. I said, sasa simutaka mtu mwingine. wewe basi kuja. Nani? Wewe kuja. Movie inakuita kwa meza kuja, and then say mimi sitaki. So I mean, how you helping me movie?
Sasa huyu mtu hakuwa anataka umuite hivyo. Yeye alikuwa anataka in your wisdom as the president.
I figure out who.
Exactly.
No. That thinking is faulty. You've already faulted the leadership of this country with what they are doing.
Yes.
And then your default position is to now let these people whom you faulted make decisions again. When you have an opportunity to actually make the decision, and then you abdicate, because that's what they did.
They did that. Yes.
The time that the one term and the Ruto must go slogan started to take shape properly, because Ruto must go was there even before the maandamano. But the time it literally took root, ile vizuri sasa, and it became a proper slogan, was when the cabinet was rehired, or rather some of the people in cabinet were rehired.
No. So let me tell you something, because we do social monitoring. Okay. So I can account for you the exact time. The exact time, what was being said, who was saying it, who was pushing it, the hashtags. We have it on record.
Yes.
I'll tell you what. That's why I say they kept on changing the goal. When the finance bill was toppled, that was the main thing. Yeah? When I can tell you, there was say no to finance bill had between a month's time had listened on social media platforms mentions 1 billion with a B billion mentions, but that's what we do. So I can tell you exactly what was happening. The moment that finance bill collapsed, it moved now to what you are saying, sack this without corruption. So they changed. Now it was not finance bill. So that's why, which is hold accountable government, which is I agree. Actually, all the asks that they were saying, it is constitutional. Even me, I was in agreement. Yeah, we need to reform government. There's accountability, governance. I agree. Fine. The president says, okay, nimewasikiza. Mtaka watu waende. Haya basi. Waende nyumbani.
Kaenda home.
Then they now, and listen to me very careful. The moment the cabinet was sacked, that is when the hashtag Ruto must go started trending. You know what I mean? They were within a week or two, there were 600 million hashtags, mentions, organic, of Ruto must go.
And this is before he even appointed a
This is way before. This was before. That's why the pressure started mounting. Now they realized, okay, finance imeenda, cabinet imeenda. By the way, we can even
get to
this guy. You see the problem. So the problem wasn't Ruto must go. They realized, okay, by the way, if I went to imeenda, hata wameenda nyumbani, hata huyu jamaa pia sasa aende nyumbani. But that wasn't the problem. So Ruto must go did not start when he reappointed. The moment, the day that cabinet was sacked, I can tell you for free. You know, we have these records. Ruto must go ilianza hiyo siku. Kapika. By the time he's reappointing, I was like a couple of weeks later, boss, that thing had 600 mentions.
And in between, you're saying is when you were reaching out.
When he reached out.
And hoping that
yes,
your conversation.
and he reached out. He said, okay, sawa. Actually, and I want your ex. First of all, they had proposed that they have conversations. The government proposed its ways. I was objecting to the government way of proposing. Me, I know these young guys. Enda kwa mitandao, enda pali wako. President, okay, sawa, mimi nenda Twitter. Anaenda katukana akasema, but they expect that this is the reality of Kenya, utafurugwa. Akasema sawa, I am ready, ninaenda. Akaenda. Ile platform he was ready to engage. These guys migrate to another one. Say, we don't want to talk to him.
Oh dear.
Then they said, but you guys wanted to talk to him. When it comes to you, then he says, no, we don't want to talk to you. They all went to another space to talk and bash him.
What it means is they had not thought beyond telling people.
They didn't have a plan.
They didn't have a plan. After they have gone,
yes.
then what? But then does that not also reflect right now? We have politicians who've picked up that mantra, and they're also telling us Ruto must go, but they're not telling us what they're going to do.
What the plan is.
No. What their plan is,
yes.
Apart from reorganizing what Ruto has done, they're not telling us what they want to do or what they want to do, which is better.
Before we vacate this conversation of the young folks, Bishop, you've interacted with them as well.
Yes.
How would they want to do this leaderless, partyless? What is the formula?
You know, I will surprise you. During that time, I don't even know how they got my number. They forced me into a WhatsApp group.
Okay.
I have settings, but I just found myself on a WhatsApp group
Don't
in the
blame
morning and all that.
Yes.
So they are top when we talk of technology and all that. What the youth were fighting for was very good. But then they didn't have a plan, as he says, the continuity plan. because by now it would have been a movement that would really have saved this nation from many things. But when they lacked leadership, everything was okay apart from the leaderless thing.
Very true.
And all that. And when the president tried to meet some of them, the other group comes and say, we don't recognize those people. They're not our leaders. He met them on X. They say we don't recognize those people and all that. But let us appreciate that they opened Kenyans' eyes in a way. They did something. It is unfortunate we had to lose some lives and all that. But they send a signal that Kenyans are watching, and sometimes they can get tired with the situation. But it is unfortunate that we have to wait to a point where people get tired with the situation, and then we lose lives and all that. You have talked of opposition, and indeed, even myself, I have a problem with the current opposition in Kenya, because if you say Ruto must go, why? Explain. Say we are saying you have failed in this place, and in this place. And when you're in opposition, offer solutions and say you have failed in this particular area. If I was the president, this is what I would have done. This is so that people see leadership in you, because people don't want leadership that just say you must go. Then when I go, then what? Offer leadership. And that is why they are being caught in this message we're seeing, like the Mutahi thing. I will keep on mentioning that, because he has nothing to offer. The only thing he has is to hate somebody on tribal lines. But you don't say that this person did not get this right. If it was me, this is what I would have done, so that people can compare notes and see your leadership and see what you can offer better than the other. So the opposition, I would advise the opposition to stop making noise and offer solutions. Up to this point, I'm only hearing noise. I've not had something constructive. I've only had things like, if you don't subscribe to my politics, you will never be elected here. Is that what Kenyans wants to hear? And when you say that, you are just falling short of saying, I'm tribal. That this is my backyard. And all that. Why can't you speak of somebody, if you're coming from Western Kenya, for example, say, if you not do ABCD, you will not be elected in Mombasa. Why your backyard? So is that what you're going to offer?
Yeah.
Is that what your government will offer? So opposition, they should plan themselves and speak clearly as a government in waiting, and say, we have ABCD to offer. This is how we can turn around this nation. This is how we can turn around the economy. This is how we will fight tribalism now that the cat is in their bag. This is how we'll throw it away from our bag and all that. So those are the things that Kenyans want to hear.
Yeah.
But I think it is time now Kenyans begin a movement. One Kenya, one tribe. From what has happened, a movement must be born that will preach one Kenya, one tribe, and so that we get rid of these tribal leaders. We don't want kings, we want leaders. We want leaders who will take the nation to the next level, who will offer solutions. That the one in place, I don't agree with so many things with President Ruto. But he's the one in office. He's doing what he thinks is right. He's doing what he thinks he is able to implement. So if I say this is not right, I should also be able to point out and say this is why you are wrong. Yeah.
And add also and say this is what ought to be done.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Dr. Makori, you actually were to respond to CT. Same question I think the bishop has responded to before I went back to the whole Gen Z issue. Yeah.
You know, history has proven something, Louis, that no people can rise above their leaders. Yes. Nations rise and fall on leadership.
Yes.
It's just a true reality. We, all of us nostalgically remember and sometimes it's funny how human beings work. Sometimes we could have a problem with somebody, but all of us also can remember the third president, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. And generally speaking, we agreed. There's a general agreement in the country that he fundamentally shifted a few things.
Shifted many things. Actually.
Yes. Yeah, there's a fundamental shift in terms of governance. Even in civil servant, trust me. That a few things didn't go right, but he fundamentally shifted other things and set this country in the right trajectory. How I wish what he did was followed up, continued. Would have been radically different. Unfortunately, we have the election cycle is 5 years and so on and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is, in the history of our country, it has been proven that when the right leader gets to power, things can change and do change. We have evidence, especially on a fundamental level. That's important. So I want to remind Kenyans that we need to see beyond our ethnic lenses and leaders and see who is right.
Can I give you a perspective, Dr.
Yes.
If I go back to the Jomo Kenyatta presidency,
Yes.
that cabinet is a cabinet of equals. If you look at the people who are there,
Yes.
the president, his deputy,
Yes.
these are people who by and large were equals.
Very true.
And so people could speak to each other
Yes,
as equals.
yes.
When Jaramogi left, that equation
Changed. The matrix was
it
changed.
disappeared. It stopped
Yes,
being
very
there.
true. Very true.
What is not spoken of with regards to the Kibaki government and the achievements that were made was that within that government there was a check and balance.
Very true. There are no excesses. Yes.
Yes, this is a
Very
popular topic with me.
Very
the
true.
issue of a check and balance.
Yes.
The moment it is not there, then you have the problems that we see
Today.
And
very true.
to speak of the Kibaki government, you must speak of President Moi and the times in which he was president.
Yes.
President Kibaki came in when the Cold War had ended. Moi lived through it.
Yes.
And a lot of the things that happened to our country were influenced by that Cold War. Okay? President Kibaki took us to China.
Yeah.
Okay? This is something that did not happen in the Moi era. He
Very
could not
true.
do it.
Very true.
Okay? Every president we have, and we have had and we will have, are human beings. And believe me, they all make terrible mistakes. What makes Raila stand out is how he has overcome his shortcomings and ended up being the person he was. Raila was thoroughly radical. Thoroughly radical. But the beauty of looking at Raila's history is how he morphed over time and became a unifying factor.
Rather than polarizing.
Yes, he became a unifying factor. Now, when leaders overcome themselves and genuinely understand that this
That's the
leadership is something that you must actually forget what it is that you actually think you want and look beyond it, a lot of the criticism has to do with people who don't look beyond that. Because as far as they're concerned, your focus should be on yourself and how you should gain. How will we benefit from this? Not how will the nation benefit. So if we start from the smallest common denominator, our MCAs, do we know how to hold people to account? Do we even? Now, if you look at something like a church structure, there's an inbuilt structure of a check and balance. There are elders. There's a whole administrative structure within a church. If a church doesn't have that, that church has a problem. And they will speak to the leaders directly. When you have such an honest structure, the direction that church takes, you can see. You will actually see the direction and you know here, there's a check and balance.
Yeah.
And people understand it, and those who are there understand it, and they also respond. That's where you'll find there are some churches where people give and give and give and give because they can see what the church is doing and they understand. Now, when you have a government which doesn't have a check and balance, and the people are supposed to provide it, form a choir, okay, like our National Assembly, and they're singing the same song all the time. Now, we find ourselves here, but we who are the citizenry don't play our part. We let these guys get away with the nonsense that they get away with.
You know, I'm thinking,
Yes.
now that we talking about Raila, in Kenya, people will always speak well of you
when you're dead.
But then you have to die first. Because when you're alive, they have nothing to say about it. So Raila is dead. And we have to speak well of him. Because everything else we were doing was playing politics. But now, what you hear today about Raila is exactly who he was. That is why you see that the people who did like him, they're speaking well of him. I've seen some eulogies and I just smile from the people they are coming from. Raila is somebody who understood this nation. He understood the needs of Kenyans and resonated very well with Kenyans. And that is why even when he goes to meeting, when he stands, he has not spoken, but people expect that. Because they know they will get something from him. He doesn't just open up his mouth. He will use 5 minutes and people will go singing what he said up to their houses. Because he stood for something. He had a vision for this country and people just loved him. I talked to one leader, an elected leader, and a friend, and we were joking, and I said, you used to say this man used to pay people to come to meetings. So has he resurrected, come and pay them and ask them come and stand for me in my death? And he was laughing just the way you're laughing. And I said, what you are seeing in Kenya right now, it is speaking to who this man was. He stood for something. We are lacking such leaders in this nation. We have leaders who are looking for positions and they have nothing to offer. We have leaders who have gotten to positions because of their pocket, but they have nothing to offer completely. Because how do you find governors who are elected and in 5 years they have delivered nothing in their county?
Yes.
It is because they are not leaders. They just came in to fill a position and get money and make money and go home. And all that. But this man was a selfless leader. And that is where we want this country to go. We want to have such leaders. And we don't care which tribe they will come from. We don't care which tribe they will be. We want Kenya to move forward. We want to see development. We want to see progress. We want to see a new Kenya. And I believe the deaths of Raila Amolo Odinga will begin to demand for such leaders because Kenyans will feel the vacuum, will feel the absence of that leader.
And there's something, let me just add on. In terms of elective seats in this country, I would predict, given the current sentiment, there will be a wholesale rejection of elected leaders, especially members of parliaments, MCAs, the way you said it. And I think 90% of them have just gone home. Okay? Because a wholesale rejection of status quo and how things have gone. But let me sober up Kenyans. So because there's a pendulum swing. Human beings are like a pendulum. We seem from one extreme to the other. We don't correct the issue. We feel, because if it's, right now in this room, if it was hot, like I see maximum cold rather than right temperature. You understand? Because I react. Hey, if it's super cold, maximum heat. So we don't regulate, moderate ourselves. And here we need to first of all go beyond the slogans, beyond 1 term or 2 term. We need to go beyond those stupid slogans, all of them. And to what you're saying, because we need to sober up ourselves, because you reject 90% leaders. The question, who are you replacing them with? I'm not defending those who are here because they will go home. That's fact. They're going. But I just want to say this, as you're doing it, because you said Bishop talked about leaders, be careful who you're replacing them with, because you might be jumping from
the frying
pan to the fire.
But Danvas, consider for a single second.
Yes.
If you look at the attrition rate of our elected leaders,
Yes.
we replace them.
Yes.
If you do not hold somebody who has that amount of power to account, our system will corrupt anybody, chief.
Very true.
Somebody, the people who are elected usually are good. They have actually shown signs of doing good. In some cases, it's because they support a certain party, so that goodness isn't really looked at.
Yes.
The party is considered to be good, so you go with that good. But some are elected because they have a good track record. Not everybody is strong enough to actually fulfill the mandate of their jobs. That's why they're held to account. Laws are not made because human beings are good. It is understood that our the heart is evil above all things. Yes. So you have these laws. They are created so that you can be kept in check. And laws work when the pact that we have with our constitution and our laws are understood that we have agreed to obey the law. When the example of disregarding the law is shown by a president, Uhuru began this trend. The court pronounces itself, we want you to appoint these judges. He says, we want you to do this. Now, once the president of the nation ignores another arm of government, what do you think you've done? You have these leaders who for the longest time would just drive how they like. And then they even have the temerity to blame these border people for riding the way they want. You've set the example. They are following you. Now, when I talk about holding people to account, it's because I know people will enter parliament when they're well-meaning. Then somebody whispers and says, do you know we can actually
make money? Like
yes, you only need to just a slight whisper.
Sometimes I feel like they're not even us. Unastukiangu naambiwa tu daktari shika hiyo.
Hapana. It's to do with something. Na kuna hii hapa na kuna and most hii mshahara tuache kando. In fact, commit all of it. Nyumba ni na nini. Then now where you make money, trips. Kuna hii. So hii committee. Now, the moment that enters, a well-meaning person suddenly becomes completely ineffective because the focus is on the trips, on the committee meetings they're going to have. This is the focus. People who are focused on their constituencies are not many, but you can see. It's not difficult to see. Governors who mean well for their counties, you can see. They are not many once again. So, if we do not understand how to hold people to account, Bishop, this is where I was talking with regards to the church.
Yes.
Okay? Unfortunately, you're representing the church in its entirety here. So, people go to church. All these people, even these mega thieves, they go to church. Okay? When you speak to that person, and if all the churches do that, believe me, they're just human beings. They will hear.
True.
What do you think Lazarus was? A thieving tax collector. Thieving. That's what he was. But siali badlika. It's a story with a reason. All these people are Kenyans. We don't elect aliens. They're just Kenyans. We even know where they come from. We even know their relatives. But we do not hold them to account. We actually encourage them in the things they do, to the point where we've institutionalized corruption.
You know, City, I'll disagree to an extent a little bit on people when they come, they're good. You know, they say siku njema
huonekana na asubuhi.
You see, I interact with these people, young leaders, upcoming leaders, across those who are potential, they're running. That's why I gave that warning, because I'll listen to some of them.
The intentions are clear.
They are not. These are old people. They're only good because they are new. So that's only, we assume because they are new, they are good.
No, Daktari, I have to speak nicely.
Yes.
for a simple reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Many of them start off with good intentions. To be honest, I also interact with the politicians and I listen. The commercial element of their politicking is something that creeps in. And many of them tell you that it is out of necessity.
True.
And that, in my opinion, is nonsense. Why it is nonsense? There are people who are elected and they do not go that commercial way. So I don't need 10 people. I just need one person, and I know it is possible. But why I'm speaking nicely is this. I never miss an opportunity to kick members of parliament in the teeth. For the simple reason, they're a really thoroughly useless lot. Okay? But when they get in, surely there's a large number of them who you look at, you can tell they're well-meaning. They're not utterly, completely irredeemable. Right now, there are very many who are completely beyond redemption. But there are those who, when you look at, this person actually means well. If this ecosystem was different, but the ecosystem is the same ecosystem they serve in. We are the ecosystem that hold them to check. If we don't hold them to check, they will not hold the executive to check. It's not complicated. That is my view.
That's what I was going in this sense, because these people, rightly would say they're not aliens. They come from our midst.
And we know them.
And we know them. And sometimes like we live in denial because we said in the kind of relationship when guys are in love initially, they're in love, red flags. Una ignore too. You ignore. Move, you know things. But you ignore because love. You realize this is the devil. Now you realize. But see, you didn't see those things. But you just
you
for some reason you're delusional. You ignore them. What I'm going to say, the people who are upcoming, with whatever faction they belong to, let us not ignore certain things. Let us ignore certain red flags. Let's not be dismissive. Accountability does not start when they get to power. No. Accountability starts right now before they get into power. Secondly, you see, we have institutions. We have more than enough laws in this country. We have too many laws, even if you have to ask me, and new are still being signed. We have institutions that can do that power. You see, Bishop's talking about opposition. We all in Kenya, we talk about opposition. But in a constitution, we don't have opposition. We have institutions that hold each other accountable, which we've neglected. Now we've gone back to default status of opposition. You understand? That's why these guys are doing what they're supposed to do. That's why they can't do it what they're supposed to do. Because it's not their role. These guys are busy just making noise. They're doing what they're not supposed to do in the first place. You understand? Because it is institutions that hold. We have institutions. We are supposed to be held accountable by institutions, which we've neglected, which we've not only neglected, we've weakened them for the very purpose of impunity.
Do we believe in institutions?
No, we don't. Now, Kibaki did. That is why you say checks and balances happened. You understand? He built institutions. Now we've gone the opposite way. So what I'm trying to say is simple. The 2027 is coming, and we're crying about leadership. What I'm saying is this: that regardless of who we run or who's the ticket, let's not ignore red flags. Accountability begins today before somebody gets there. Kama uona shida hapa hivi, hiyo shida itakuwa amplified. Power just brings out the true nature of somebody. You understand? If somebody was a little bit corrupt, they will be amplified 10 times over to see they are. And they are good people. Those good people, there are few of them, we should be given, because as you say rightfully, the governors are doing a fantastic job. Moranga is doing an absolutely fantastic job. Not perfect, but he's way above his peers who are busy looting, and the money he has is doing something for his people. You understand? Just an example. Yeah. So I'm just saying, let's be sober as Kenyans, because tunalaumu watu, tunalaumu viongozi ndio. Oh, this, but how did they get there? They're not dropped by aliens. We elected these people. They are our people. Yeah, so it is our duty. If the country is messed up, it is us who messed up because we took them in power. So let it be a sobering point, especially with the death of Raila, that, you know what, let's get sober people like we did, regardless of external factors, and then now we can say, you know what, this is where you start, this is where you need to go. Because other than that, we'll still be here.
Do we actually believe that leaders should be held to account? Do you actually believe that the citizenry and the voter
absolutely
play a role in holding leaders to account?
Yes, but see, I believe so. But you see, for you to hold somebody accountable...
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Do they believe that they should hold leaders to account?
Kenyans, no.
Yes.
They don't.
Precisely.
They don't, actually don't.
I'm thinking of something.
Yes.
Yeah, accountability in leadership in this country is going to be a problem for a long time. Do you know how easy it is to remove a governor from office than it is to remove an MCA and an MP? Because you see, these MPs, they're the ones who create these laws.
Yep.
And they will not create laws that can net them. It is very easy to remove a governor from office, but it's very hard to remove an MP from the office. You remember the integrity chapter, for example. They looked at it and they said, we are done. And they say, how can we water down on this thing? And they said, we add something until proven guilty. So they will keep on appealing a case, and before you know about it,
10 years later,
he's
still in power.
He's still in power and all that. So as long as we still have a system where people create laws that are supposed to net themselves, we will never move. We will never move. The MPs will keep on hiding in laws and all that. You see, for example, we were talking about the cybercrime bill that they came up with. Do you think there is an MP that can be netted with that? They are targeting a poor man down there who cannot raise 20 million so that they silence him completely, not to speak. When you think of 20 million, you think twice whether you are supposed to speak or not. And for them, as you say, the system creates money for them. He will do what he wants to do, and he will run away with it because it is just about paying 5 million. And that one will be done by a check. Without thinking twice, because the account is solid.
Yeah.
So Kenyans needs to begin to think on how best we can come up with laws. But as long as we still trust MPs with making laws in this country, they will only net Kenyans, but not them. That is why it is very hard. It is very hard to jail a sitting leader in this nation.
Yeah.
Whether it is an MCA, whether it is an MP, it is a governor.
A businessman.
The other day, you know, I've been looking at that and I've been laughing. The former governor of Makori, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He negotiates on how he should be dealt with. And he says, take these 2 houses and sell them and let these stories end. Can it be done on you? You are not in jail.
You know what is strange is that our laws allows for that negotiation.
They do.
Yes.
But it has never happened to poor people.
Not only that, I am personally not clear about the circumstances that makes this thing applicable. Because
arbitration, yes.
Yes, and where you're right, my friend, if you're poor, you have a problem.
Yes.
Yes.
And again, you see what I'm asking. Yes. Now, if they are selling his property to recover the money, that means he's guilty.
Yes.
Where is he?
Free.
That is it. That is exactly what I'm saying. So if he's a guilty man, you're selling his property to recover what he stole. And he's free, moving outside there. And most probably he will buy in the next election.
No, him he can't. He's had his 2 terms. Maybe he can vie for a
Something
Senate position.
Yeah, for something else.
Yes,
That
he
is
can.
what I'm saying.
He can.
Yeah.
He can.
You see, that law is not as strict to them as it is to us. Most of the people in prison are people with petty offenses. Very petty.
Actually, there are very many people who were jailed during the COVID times because they were out
Yeah.
after the hours.
Na kwamba toka kazi tu.
And one couldn't consider that you found him walking because
There's no mats.
not only that, where he has come from,
Yes.
he can only afford to walk.
Yes.
So he is trying very hard to get home,
Yes.
but he can't, because to get home he would need a matatu, and he can't afford a
Your
matatu,
fare, no.
or he'll afford the matatu and not eat. Yes.
So we have a comment here coming from Atticus. Atticus is saying, I've noticed the only people talking about tribe are the older generation. Any young person talking tribe ni mtumwa wa one of the wazees. The youth are not interested in old narratives. They know who the enemy is, and it is the entire political class. And actually this one, because you were saying that you met these folks and you tried to ask them which way forward, then they could not pinpoint someone who will actually sit at the table. Looking at what Atticus has said here, so for what will happen, because they do not want anyone to represent them at a table. So do we say that we forget about them and we just forge the country and listen to the multitudes of crowds that they hold in the streets?
First, the premise, the point Atticus has raised to begin with is not accurate. You know why? Because even the youth are very tribalistic.
Okay.
Extremely.
And go out and hang out in a joint club. You take a young person who's when it's a gani, they will stereotype. They want to profile you so they know how they behave. Because when you move, wakawa wanakuanga hivi. Yaluo, wanakuanga hivi. So you're already profiled. And I hear that question a million times. Believe me, from young, these are Gen Zs. These are people in their 20s. They will ask me, so what do you tribe Gani? Because maybe they can't play my accent or how I look, so they're not really sure.
Or they're not sure.
They're not sure. Yeah, so they want to now put you properly. So that's not true. And on the other hand, to what your point is, you see, you there was a clip that went viral during that Mandamano 2024 of this young man said, Mr. Kigua president. Remember that clip? This young man said, Mr. Kigua. Okay, fine. At least you don't want to be. That is good. But this constitution which we gave ourselves to, this is power, it belongs to the people, has said that now people delegate that power to representatives. That's how it is, because all of us, 50 million Kenyans can go to parliament and pass laws. 50 million Kenyans cannot be in one office. So we've chose to delegate our power, sovereign power, to certain people, individuals. So we have to be consistent with that's what I'm saying. The young people, and engage with them. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, they need to delegate their power to someone.
They have to
By
to
the
someone.
way, they actually are consistent if you think about it. They're anarchists. They just don't know.
Anarchists.
No. I'm not saying they're destructive.
Anarchists. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
looking at the term from a political perspective.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who don't believe in hierarchy.
Yes.
They don't believe in government. They don't believe in all these things. They don't believe. It's actually the term that describes them. It's not that they're people who are seeking destruction. No.
But I know what you mean, anarchist, politically speaking.
Yes, politically speaking, they represent that particular ideal.
Now, and it is an ideal. But guess what? So even in the wild, in the animal kingdom, there's order.
Yes.
There's an alpha male. There's females. There's animal, the herds, the prides of lions. There's a certain order.
There's
order. Nature.
And there's hierarchy.
There's hierarchy.
Now, anarchists oppose
hierarchy. It's just how it is. You understand? So if animals by themselves, animals have their own hierarchy which they respect, and they all go up with and grow up with, and brings order in what we call the wild. So how comes we who are civilized in our civilization just kind of some sort of order? You understand, movie? So we gotta be real here. This is a conversation which we must have.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we've come to the end of the show. Bishop Hudson, thank you so much for coming through to this conversation. Daktari Makori pia asante sana kwa kukuja na kujumuika nasi in this conversation. And we invite you again. Once your commissionership is done, come over.
Mimi nakuja na I think hiyo ukumbi soon enough I'll naingia hiyo ukumbi. I try to sort it out. Yes.
Yeah, politics.
Yes, I'm thinking.
Why not?
Bishop,
Why not?
You have a communication network yourself.
Yes.
Tuite pia tuwasiliane na watu wako.
Yes, we will do that.
And we will come.
Yeah.
All right.
Karibu.
All right.